Yep.
Ready? All right. As of January 2014, 87% of Americans use the internet, which is a 73% increase since 1995, according to the Electronic Frontier Foundation. However, the internet as we know it is at risk because internet service providers are not required to remain neutral to the information passing through their networks, allowing them to restrict traffic. My research has led me to believe that an open internet is the best way to keep the internet prosperous for generations to come. Internet providers need to remain neutral in order to preserve the integrity of the internet and to promote investment. Today, I would like to give you some information about the following: why internet service providers, or ISPs, have incentive to throttle traffic, why a restricted internet would be damaging, why market forces cannot prevent discrimination by ISPs, and what can be done to remedy the problem. ISPs do have incentive to throttle traffic. They can use throttling to keep customers from using competing services. For instance, it's not hard to see the parallels between a pay TV service offered by a cable company versus an internet service like Netflix. Cable companies can easily have incentive to throttle Netflix traffic because when they throttle traffic, the quality degrades for the users who are using Netflix. This encourages them to, instead of paying for Netflix, pay for pay TV providers' service. So, once they start doing that, they now have bargaining power with Netflix, who is currently losing subscribers because of the poor quality they're receiving on an ISP's network. And they can then bargain with them to get money in order to have unfettered access to an ISP's customers. So it's not hard to see how a restrictive internet would be damaging. It stifles innovation that's blossomed underneath an open internet. It gives the provider's own services preferential treatment, as I've shown earlier, and it hinders small businesses. While big businesses like Netflix may be able to pay ISPs for full access to an ISP's customers, small businesses don't have the capital to do that. So they're going to have a much harder time of gaining the base they need to flourish compared to a service like Netflix. So some argue that market forces can prevent discrimination by ISPs. After all, if you don't like an ISP, it's as simple as switching, right? Sadly, that's not the case because there's a lack of competition in the broadband market. So only, according to Chairman Tom Wheeler, FCC chairman that is, 60% of households have access to at least 2 ISPs that can deliver speeds of 10 megabits per second download speed. For comparison, one HD, that is not Ultra HD, just HD, Netflix stream needs 5 megabits per second minimum, according to Netflix themselves. Now while that doesn't seem so bad, for the next tier that the FCC measures, 25 megabits per second download speed, only 25% of households have access to at least 2 providers. That means that 3/4 of America only has access to 1 provider, or as more often is the case, no providers who can provide that sort of internet speed. But thankfully, the problem can be solved by reclassifying ISPs under Title II of the Telecommunications Act. The ACLU, or the American Civil Liberties Union, summed it up very succinctly when they said that they were, quote, in favor of reclassifying fixed broadband internet access service as a telecommunications service rather than an information service, and that doing so would permit the Commission to apply legally defensible anti-discrimination and anti-blocking rules. So basically, what the ACLU is saying is that non-discrimination rules cannot be enacted under Section 706 of the Telecommunications Act because they impose per se common carrier status on an entity that's not a common carrier. So it makes sense to reclassify ISPs as a common carrier in order to be able to prescribe rules that will protect the internet as a whole from ISPs. So, today we have learned why ISPs would restrict internet traffic, why a restricted internet would be damaging, why market forces cannot prevent discrimination by ISPs, and what can be done to solve the problem. So, in conclusion, if you're interested in being able to use the internet however you want to, you should write to the FCC and to your congressman about preventing ISPs from controlling the internet.